Hello everyone, I'm Mara Benitez, Library Assistant here at the Seguin Public Library. Today we have our TLU students from Dr. Hijazi's Excel class, and they're going to be talking to community members and answering questions on how to use Excel for beginners and for personal finance.
Well, I guess the first thing that we could kind of go over is the sum function, which will be really helpful for adding multiple things. So if we're doing, say, if we have some numbers, so if we have like 10, 5, 8, 18, and 20, and say those are dollars. And instead of doing where you add each thing and you click each time, add everything up. So instead of having to go through all of this, you can just do a simple equals sum, and you click the sum function, and then you can highlight everything here and then click enter, and it automatically does it. Just really simple, really easy, one thing and done. So the equal sign is why you put in before you add everything. So if you don't put it there, you're not going to be able to select each one for that specific cell. So that's what the function is, to say, okay, this is what we're adding up, or this is what we're doing to get it to equal a certain number, rather than just hitting each cell, because that's not going to give you anything. It's not going to work. So you have to put the equal sign to say, okay, we're going to do this certain function to add everything up. So a function is a like specific thing that you're asking Excel to do. So when you're doing the sum function, it's already programmed into Excel. You don't have to do anything. It's already, like, it already knows what to do. You're just telling it, okay, this is what I want it to do, but it's already programmed into it. So you don't have to do any extra work. So if you do equals and then sum, you're saying, okay, I want to sum up all of these numbers. I want to add them all together. So you don't, all you have to do is tell Excel, these are what I want to add. You don't have to tell Excel, like, plus this, plus this, plus this. It already knows to do that.
One helpful thing about functions is once you start putting, let's say, the sum function, you put the equal sign and then the word sum, it will have a quick definition of what it does. So if you put equals sum, it will say simply adds the numbers up. And the same thing with minimum and maximum is going to have a quick description for what that is. So Excel's really intuitive when it comes to that.
Now I know Jordan showed us how to add things, but can you also subtract on Excel? So like, for example, maybe in a budget where you got a certain amount of money, but as you're paying bills, that number would go down.
So here, let's say you have, we're gonna put budget, right? So let's say you have a budget of $10,000, and then we're gonna have your list of expenses up here, okay?
So just like really quickly while he's doing that, is in Excel, there's not actually a subtraction function. How you kind of subtract is you have to still use the sum function, but some of the numbers would change into a negative sign. Yeah, so there's just not one. Excel just doesn't have it in their system for subtraction. So it's still the sum function. You just have to add negative numbers to make it work for subtraction.
So kind of like for subtraction, this is kind of like a way to do it. So I'm going to have my budget, and then I'm going to have all my expenses right here. So what I want to do is I want to subtract all these expenses from my budget to see like how much I have left. Okay, so I'm going to press equal to start a function, and then I'm going to have this 10,000. Now, this is also a very important thing that we haven't mentioned yet. It's how to lock a cell. So pretty much what I'm going to do is, I'm on Mac right now. So I'm going to press F4. And what's that going to do it's going to lock this cell right here, C11, to where it will not move because of the fill handle. So pretty much if I do
How about you put another like next to it, another number, so that they can see like it's not gonna move.
Oh yeah, okay. So here, just enter that. So right now you can see how like that's like that. And then let's put just like there. And then let's drag this. But you see, once I drag that, it's locked in on this cell to where it's just gonna keep putting in that same value because I locked it in on that one cell. So now that I've locked in that cell, I can press minus, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the sum function in again. So right now, I put the sum function in, and then from there, I can come up here and highlight all of my expenses, close that. So now I have my budget, which is locked in, minus the sum of all my expenses. Once I do that, I get this number, which is going to be all these added together minus my budget. So that's how much money I would have left over after all my expenses. So we're going to go over the minimum, the maximum, and the average function. So we'll start with the minimum function. Okay, so pretty much we're just going to need a couple of numbers here to kind of go over. So I'm just entering random numbers here. Okay, so this is just going to be a little grid of numbers for the minimum function. So pretty much what you're going to want to do is with any function, you're going to want to start with that equal sign like we were talking about earlier. And pretty much what that does is that tells Excel that you're trying to make a calculation and not just enter some random value like I was over here. So pretty much you're going to start entering minimum, and that's going to pull up a list of functions right here that you can click from. Now you're going to choose the first one right here, which is the min. And then it's going to give you little like instructions here. So, you know, it's telling you like number 1, number 2, but pretty much what we're going to do is, since we have this little list right here, is we're going to highlight the whole list. Okay. And then we're going to close parenthesis, and pretty much, so it starts with the parenthesis after the min, but you want to make sure that you close it to where it knows that this is the end of the function. Okay, so once I pressed enter there, it's going to give me the smallest value out of this entire list right here, which was 12. Now, if I want to, I can go back in here and I could change, let's say 16 to 8, and I should update it immediately. So that's the advantage of doing a function instead of just entering numbers, is that you can go back and you can change values if like something was wrong or something got updated. So like I could change this to a 2 and it automatically changes my answer. And the same will be for the maximum function. So we're gonna have maximum function down here. Just enter some random values. Okay. And then we're gonna go over here, equal sign, start to type in max, and you will see it'll pop up right there. And it's gonna be the same process as the minimum function, where I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna highlight, and it's gonna give me the maximum out of this list of values right here, which was 94. Go in here, change this to 1,000, and it'll change my answer to 1,000. Now, let's say you have just a list of numbers and you want to find the average of them. You're going to use the average function. So I'm going to come over here, equal sign, and then start to spell out average, and it should pop up with the average function. And then just the same kind of process, going to come over here, highlight all these numbers. And then what it's going to do is that's going to add up all of the numbers, and then it's going to divide it by the number of values that you put in there. So instead of having to come over here and be like, go here, just like, okay, so I want to add up this plus this plus this plus this. And then you'd have to count out yourself how many that is, which is 4. And then you get the same answer, but all you have to do is put in your average function and it does all that for you, which makes it way easier. So those are the minimum, the maximum, and the average function.
So kind of one of the things that I want to do is, so let's say you wanted to figure out, so over the course of a year, what was like the least you made in a month, what was the most you made in a month, and then kind of what a typical month would look like to kind of plan out your expenses around that. So I guess Braden, go ahead and walk them through, start with like January, February, and then show how you can use the fill handle.
Okay, the fill handle. So the fill handle is a pretty useful tool. So this is January right here, and then you see this little green box down here at the bottom, and you see how my cursor there turns black, which means that it's ready to, I can press down and hold on that, and then pull it over, and you see how it says February down there? So what Excel is doing is just recognizing that I want to pretty much continue that kind of trend of months. So what it's going to do is it's just going to pull over in those values. And see, the same thing is going to happen with functions as well. Okay. So pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to go back to, let's use the minimum function again. Change that to a normal number. Okay. So equals, go back to that minimum function. And pretty much what we're going to do is we can highlight these, and it should find the minimum value of this row for whatever month it is. If we do that, then you find that the minimum was a 17. So we know that the minimum value was in June. So I'm going to use the fill handle right here for the minimum function. So I'm doing the minimum function for the 2 values of day 1 and day 2 in January. So if I do that, okay, we're going to get 26. So now I know that the minimum value of January is 26. Now I'm going to go over here to the fill handle, and I'm going to drag that along here, and pretty much what that's going to do is it's going to find the minimum, the minimum value of each of these months right here. So if I click on here, you see how these 2 cells are highlighted for January, and then as I dragged it over, it kept that same trend. So it went from these 2 cells, and then it moved over 1 to these 2 cells. So now I have the same minimum function, but a different address that it's addressed to. And then same for keep going on, and you just see it just keeps that trend. So that's the minimum and maximum function, kind of like addressed to like a monthly basis if you're trying to find, like, and these could also, I just addressed them as day 1 and day 2, but you could address them as like different costs. So like monthly costs and stuff like that. So these could be your expenses as well.
One cool thing about using the minimum function is that, let's say, for instance, you accidentally put day 2 in wrong. So if you were to change that 26 to 28, it'll actually change down to the minimum box to 27, rather than actually having to manually do everything.
Yeah, it does it automatically. So like, and say day 2, you change it to $8. It's going to recognize that, oh, the minimum is now $8 rather than 27.
So everything in Excel basically just is easily convertible, if that makes sense.
And then also the very cool thing about this is, so I can come in here at any time. So let's say my budget increased to 12,000. So now it's automatically going to update how much money I have left. Or let's say one of my expenses shot up a lot. And see, that's going to automatically change because it's just the cell address is from cell address and not just entering a number. So like if you're over here and you're just entering the number of your budget into your function. So like, let's say instead I just try to put 12,000 into here, you'll get the same number. But if my budget changes just a little bit, so like let's say now my budget is 15,000. You see, it didn't change because it's not through the cell address. You just entered the value. That's why it's much better put the cell address, lock it in to where it'll automatically update if anything ever changes.
Since we're talking about money, you can turn on the accounting. So you can turn on the $sign and go 2 decimal points past that.
So pretty much right now, all we see is numbers. You know, we don't exactly know what these numbers are, but we are talking about cash right now. So pretty much what you can do is you can come in here, you can highlight all of these by clicking up here and just dragging it down. And then if you go up, I'm on the home page right now, and then you come over here and you see where you have a $sign, a %sign, and a little comma. So pretty much what you're going to do is you come over here and you see how it says accounting number format. You're going to click on that little $sign. And what it's going to do is going to give it a $sign and then put 2 decimal places right after that. And then also you have the control over here to change the amount of decimals that there are. So I could decrease that or I could increase it. So pretty much that is the accounting format right there. Now there are other formats such as percentage and comma. Pretty much, so the percentage, so like let's just say I put 0.1 right there, and then I go to percentage, that's going to turn into 10% because 1.0 would be your full 100%. And then like, so I could just have a full list of values down here and then put into percentage. And then you have your comma right there, which is pretty much like, instead of all these numbers having $sign in front of them, I just come over here and I put a comma, and it kind of just gets rid of the $sign, but it keeps a decimal place. So like if I have like 1,000 over here, then you see how it just puts the comma right there. And then I could just take that away, take all the decimal places away to where it's easier to see instead of just having like 1,000 right here and there's no comma, to where it makes it easier to tell like what the number is. But so that's kind of like number formatting right there. Also another helpful thing that can so kind of just, this is about like organization and all that.
Mhm.
So sometimes you see how like it's all black and all that kind of stuff. It can make it kind of like, I guess like you won't be able to differentiate things. So a helpful thing that we've been taught is to kind of like highlight the background of it. So I can come in here and do that, for it makes it a whole lot neater, to where I can be like, okay, I can clearly see January through July, and I can tell that these are below. I can come over here, I can highlight these too, to where it makes it like more of a graph kind of, and it makes it a whole lot neater and kind of be able to tell where everything is.
Yeah, it kind of differentiates everything. So you can know like, okay, these are my expenses for these months. So these months you're not really doing much with the minimum and maximum. So you can separate, you know, your amounts and your months. So you know kind of what you want to highlight or what you want to find.
And with Excel, you can actually, like for expenses, you can highlight them red. So that'll show you like what's going out. And then your budget, you can have that as like blue. And then your money left, you can make that green if you want to show them red.
So I can come up here and I can go to my highlight, press that red to where the background of this is red, budget, blue, and then this in green, to where that kind of just helps differentiate kind of like what is what. So also what I did right here is I created something. So over here, these are your borders. So you have the ability to create little borders for your cells. So that is also a very helpful thing in kind of organization. So if you want to create a border around a cell, so let's just come over here and type some numbers in. So pretty much, all you gonna do like to wherever you want the border. So like, let's say I wanted a border underneath the 27 to separate these two 27s from each other. So I'm gonna come over here and see, I'm gonna click on the bottom border, and what it's gonna do is gonna put a small line in between those two. But I could also like just highlight all of these, come over here and put all borders, and it'll just create like a boxing function, boxing kind of effect around them. But there's all kinds of different borders, bottom, top, left, right, and then you get rid of all the borders. But you can also come down here to to more, and you can just create like special kind of borders to where you can make like dotted lines, thick line, double, and then you can just click on here, so like that, and then press OK, and you see that just created a double line for both on the top and the bottom. So that's just a little helpful thing for organization of any kind of financials that you have. The borders can be very helpful. So so like right here, you come down to the sheet name, and you're gonna want to double click on that, and then you're gonna see you can delete it, rename it, move or copy. So I'm just gonna come up to rename, and it's gonna let me type in there. So I can just type in there min, max, and average, and then press enter, and that's going to rename that, and it's going to keep it there. So now I know that this first sheet is where I have my min, my max, and my average function. I can also change the color of the tab. So let's say I wanted to change it to red, and now it's red, to where it's kind of easier to see. So I could change the tab color of this one to blue, and now I have the differentiation between those two to where it's kind of easier to tell, which is also kind of helpful. So like you see right here, how I'm going over it, and you see that little black box, that's what the cell address is, which is pretty much just like the intersection of G and 7. So that's just like where every number is, to where Excel can kind of tell like what is what. So like there, I pressed on F7, so F7 pops up there, G7, I7, G3, and that's kind of just what a cell address is.
And so another cool thing that we were actually talking about is wrapping text and merging centering a lot of these cells. And so basically what we mean by wrap text, so let's say like if we have I'll type my name, and since it goes into another cell, a really cool thing you can do with Excel is right here. It's this right here, and it's basically wrap text. And it'll basically wrap it to where it fits in the whole cell. So if I were to keep typing, I can type my name again, I guess. I don't really know what else to type on there. It'll continuously wrap that text so where it's fitting that cell, and the cell will adjust to it. Another cool thing you can do with that, that's right next to it, it's this merge and center. And so basically, if I was making a title, like we can come right here. If I was making a title, and I kind of wanted it to these three cells to combine, we can basically push merge and center. And whenever I type something, it'll basically center it out and have those cells merge together to the point where it almost looks like a title for the top of these, and make it look like a table. It's really neat. It just creates order. It creates just, not so you're everywhere. It creates a certain type of balance, if you will. And yeah. I actually do my group, and what this does is basically, if you have a certain name of groups, or certain names within a group, sorry. Essentially what we're doing here is we're sorting and filtering A to Z, and it'll basically put these in order of alphabetical order. So like, in the same way, I can do this too. So let's just reorder this. And if these had numbers with it, it'll also allow the numbers to follow with the order. Sorry. So basically what I want to do here is same situation, same type of idea, but instead I'm just going to put numbers with it so we can literally just go.
So this would be handy, like if you're grading something even, or ranking a group of people in a group, employees, for example, or that would be great for working out the expenses of a group and listing them per person. You could rank them in that way.
Yeah, you could also use it for like if you name out your expenses, like this is what my rent is, this is what my electric is. You could do that as well and sort it that way.
Exactly that, and that's kind of just what the concept of this is behind it, and so what I did was sort and filtered, same concept, but now as these names were sorted A to Z, the numbers corresponding to the name also did. And so like y'all are saying, if you wanted to sort and filter out and figure out, what it is that you have to pay, or what it is that as far as priority or chronological type of ideas, that it really helps out a lot. So
right there, we sorted alphabetically. Can we also sort numerically in that group?
it's definitely just an easier way to
Mm-hmm.
get tasks done. And so just like that, as you say, we went 1 to 5, and the names corresponding to the numbers changed with it as well.
That's awesome. So it's a very powerful tool that just kind of really takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, and a lot of the mental work, you can just do it through the computer.
Absolutely. Like a larger scale too, you can think about how if you had this whole sheet full of numbers and full of just trying to figure out, as you said, trying to create neatness and order, you can simply use that function. It'll basically give you, as you can see here, like 1 to whatever number you have. And it just gave you such a cleaner, better look at everything that you're working with, so that it just honestly makes your life easier. So
now, could each of you tell me a way that you've used Excel in your life that helps make it easier, like a practical use for it?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Since I guess I go first, as you kind of seen that the averaging, the minimum, the maximum have definitely helped me. Not only in the ways of like using a calculator as a spreadsheet for my work and all, but I also like to do budgeting type of things, and being able to basically put out what I'm spending, what I'm having to spend, and what I'm basically budgeting for. All my bills and stuff can go on a simple Excel sheet like this. And so essentially just being able to use these functions to plan out and not kind of guess on where my money's going or how much money I'm going to have at the end of a month, to the point where I'm looking and seeing, oh, this is what I have, this is what I'm spending, and this is what I should expect at the end of the month type of situation. That's just from my personal perspective.
So my use for Excel is a little bit different from Vincent's, but I actually use it when I play mini golf with my friends. I'm able to keep a running total over all the holes and see who's winning.
That's pretty cool.
I use mine for like deadlines for like upcoming papers, assignments, and stuff. Making calendars on Excel is actually really helpful. If anyone's interested in that, we could go over that. I use it for that.
Awesome. Actually, if you want to show us a little bit of that.
Yeah, for sure. Let me set up real quick.
While he's doing that, I know for like us accounting majors, we use it a lot for different like spreadsheets that we need, just to kind of keep money in order and everything like that.
Okay, can y'all see the
Yes.
blank Excel workbook? Awesome. So let's just say, all right, let's do April. We're gonna start with Monday. To save time, you can just do the list. There we go. And so you kind of got your days right there. So you can put 1 here, and you kind of just do a list. And so see right here, I did a fill handle, but all of them were 1s. Obviously, you don't want that, so you can kind of click on this little gray thing right here, and you have some options. I can either copy or I can fill. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit the fill. Oh, no. Yes. Okay, there we go. And then you come over here with Monday, be the 5th, 12th, and so on. And the cool thing about Excel is, let's say I wanted to do a complete calendar for the whole year. I could just kind of copy this template, and it would save me a ton of time. Let's just do that. Okay. And so I have all my days here. If I want April to kind of stand out, like we talked about already, you can kind of center it. Oh, I don't want a list. April back. I'm gonna kind of want this to center. And then so right there, so I have it selected. I can go up here to merge and center, and I can just kind of tap that. And so now April's merged. And for me, I'm a very visual person, so I kind of like if the font is a little bit better like that, and just like Braden talked about, you can kind of make it there. That's an April color. You can kind of have fun with it. And if you want some words to stand out, you can hit Control B or just go up to the bold thing right over here, just like on a regular Word document. And I like to have fun with it, so let's do that. So already our calendar is looking kind of nice. And as you can see, the labels for the week aren't exactly centered. So we're going to go ahead and highlight that, just like I said, clicking, holding down. Then over here, we can just hit the same thing, not merge and center. We just want to, we're just going to want to center. Or not that. There we go. And now it's centered. Then if you look at here Wednesday, I'm a very just like, I like everything to look nice. So you have Wednesday over here. What you can do to make sure all the data fits is come up here to the top, highlight everything, and then you see this little black arrow. You kind of come between here and make sure that it doesn't spill over by doing this like that, and make sure the data all fits. So again, it's just come over here and double click. All right, so I kind of got my calendar here. And for me, let's see, you come over here to the row, and I can, let's see, insert. I'm gonna insert a new row. And then so for me, I can also change the length and the width and the height of these cells. And let's just say over here, I have Excel homework 2. And that'll be my calendar. And I'll know that I have my Excel homework on the 1st of April. And you can kind of play with it like that. You can make the height of this much easier to use. You should come over here, row height. Right now it's at a 15. That might mean nothing to you, and it doesn't really mean nothing. It doesn't mean much to me. I can just kind of experiment with it. There you go. 25 looks like it works. And then if I wanted to make it look really cool, I select everything. And then like Braden talked about, we can have a border. And I just want an outside border like that. So I got my little month of April right there. Hopefully that helped.
That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. We are just about at the end of our class. So thank you again for everybody for showing up and for sharing in this class. And make sure you stick around. We've got a couple other classes coming up on Wednesday and Friday as well. This is also part of our financial literacy series. So we will have other classes throughout the week, and you'll just want to kind of take a look at those. Registration is open for them, and those might be helpful for you too if you enjoyed this class. So thank you everybody for being here today. You'll have a nice week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, thanks.
Thank you.